When I carry a tarp setup into a wilderness environment, be it an emergency shelter or a more long-term setup, the components of my kit are the same, and I wanted to share that with everybody today because I thought maybe it'll give you guys some ideas of what you can put in your kit. First component, which we're not really even going to get into that much, is your tarp. So this is an oilskin tarp. Square tarps, in my opinion, are the best, but you can't always get a good square tarp in smaller sizes or in emergency style blankets that we all love so much for our emergency kits. So square tarp is what I carry for my longer term kit. This is an oilcloth 8x8 by 10 Smiths, and it's just rolled up nice and small, well, as small as it's gonna get, and I stick this inside my kit. But really what I wanted to show everybody is what else goes along. And I carry this bag, and this is like my shelter bag, and I have this with all my different shelter kits. This bag contains everything I need for all the shelter setups that I need, plus just a few extra items. I tie this bag closed with a piece of paracord that is about 3 foot in length, and this comes in really handy as a multi-purpose item, not only to keep my bag closed, but I can also use it if I set up my shelter and I just need a little bit of an extension on something. Maybe I set the ridge line up a little bit too high and I need to pull that tent peg down and it won't reach the ground. I can take this and add this in. So it's always good just to multi-purpose these items that you have with you. Next are tent pegs. I do carry ABS plastic tent pegs. These things are just lightweight compared to carrying larger wooden stakes around. So understanding how to make the wooden tent pegs is important, but being able to carry these just make life that much easier. I also put a bright orange tab on these because you don't want to lose these while you're out there or walk and trip over them at night. So this gives you just a little bit more visual aid when you put these in. I carry 5. 4 of these tent pegs give me an A-frame shelter with my tarp, 5th one for a backup. So 5 tent pegs, light, nice, light and easy. Next is some toggles. I have 3 different size toggles here. These work for everything from lifting up the back of my shelter to using my prusik knots, which are gonna be on my ridge lines. I like to just carry these with me rather than search around because I know I have them at all times. So no matter what environment I'm in, and even if there's a lot of snow, I don't have to go searching for anything. They don't take up a lot of weight and they're there, very useful. And last thing in the bag are my ridge lines. I have 3 30-foot ridge lines. I think 30-foot lines are about optimal for what I do in my environment. They might be a little bit long, but I would rather have that little extra length just in case I get in an area that's more opened up. They're gonna work fine. Every ridge line then has a bowline knot with a prusik knot and a loop on the line. That gives me a lot of adjustability. Plus having each line set up the same allows me to just grab any one and set up my shelter quickly. I don't have to look exactly what line I'm using. Every one is identical. It's important to have more than one ridge line though, for the fact, depending on the shelter setup you're doing, from flying the tarp to lean-to having to lift up that center point of a lean-to, it gives you the adjustability and availability to do that with 3 ridge lines. Lastly, I also try to carry some type of moisture barrier along with me. Now this here is a piece of canvas that is rubberized on one side. It's called a gum blanket, but a piece of heavy duty plastic, like 6mm plastic, cut the length of you, maybe 2 foot wide, will work really good. Garbage bags work really well, but this is a little bit more traditional, takes up a little bit more room, but works well. So these are always included in my shelter kit. And that's what I have in all of my shelter kits. I have my tarp and I have a bag of components that are identical to this. So if I'm carrying something like a poly tarp, I might have some smaller tent pegs. I have my 3 ridge lines and some toggles, and it works out just great. If you don't want to carry the toggles, throw a couple extra tent pegs into that bag and you can use tent pegs as toggles. So it just gives you a little idea of what I carry. I've never came across a situation where this component system has failed me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, check us out over at coalcrackerbushcraft.com, and until next video, stay in the woods, guys.